All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to decode the secret language that all designers use, whether they're making a logo, a website, or, well, anything really. It's a language built from the simplest things you can possibly imagine. And I promise, once you see it, you're going to start seeing it everywhere. Ready? Let's do this. You ever look at a design and just get it? It just feels right. You can't always put your finger on why, but it feels balanced, it's clear, and it just works? Well, that's not an accident. It's definitely not magic. Great design is built on a fundamental, almost invisible structure. And that whole structure? It starts with something incredibly, incredibly simple. I mean, think about it. The most complicated painting, the busiest website you've ever been on, even the simplest little icon on your phone. They all share a common ancestor. Every single piece of visual design starts with this one humble little mark. It's kind of like the first letter in a whole new alphabet. And that mark? It's the line. Yeah, the definition is super basic. It's just a moving dot, an open path. But don't let that simplicity fool you. In the world of design, the humble line is an absolute powerhouse. So what can this moving dot actually do? Well, it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. A line can create an outline. Designers call that a contour. It can slice up a page to create order and divide space. It can create patterns and textures, but maybe its most important job is to guide your eye and set a very specific mood. And this is where it gets really interesting. Just look at how changing the direction of a line totally changes the feeling. Horizontal lines, think of the horizon over the ocean, they feel calm, quiet, stable. But the second you tip them up into vertical or diagonal lines, bam, you get energy, you get movement. It's the difference between a calm lake and a lightning bolt. Totally different vibes. Okay, so we've established that a line is an open path, right? It has a start and an end. But what happens when that path takes a little journey, loops all the way around, and the end meets the beginning? Well, that's when you get the next fundamental building block in our design language. You get a shape. It's literally that simple. A shape is just a closed-up line. It's the outline of a thing. And just like lines, shapes are absolutely essential for organizing what we see and for communicating ideas that everyone, everywhere can understand. Now, you can basically sort every shape in the universe into three big families. First up, you've got your geometric shapes, the ones we all learned in math class, like squares and circles. They feel really structured. Then there are natural shapes. These are the irregular, flowy forms you see in nature, like a leaf or even just a random ink blob. And finally, you have abstract shapes, which are basically simplified, stylized versions of real things, like the little icon of a person on a bathroom door. Now here is the most important thing to get about shapes. They are not just empty outlines. They have personalities, they have feelings, and designers choose them so carefully because different shapes trigger very different emotions and ideas in our brains, a lot of the time without us even realizing it. Let's start with the one we see probably 1,000 times a day, the square. Its whole personality is about honesty, stability, and trust. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense why it feels so stable. I mean, our world is built out of them. Think about our houses, our books, our phone screens. We are so used to reading text inside rectangular boxes that the shape itself feels familiar, comfortable, and totally safe. Now, sure, it can sometimes feel a little rigid or boring, but its real power is in that feeling of trust. Okay, so let's get rid of all the corners and move on to the circle. This shape speaks a totally different language, a language of infinity, of community, of protection. Because it has no beginning and no end, it's just a natural symbol for completeness. It can feel really protective, like a group hug or encircling arms. Or it can suggest movement, like a rolling ball. And here's a little design secret. Precisely because circles are less common than squares in our daily lives, they are fantastic for grabbing your attention. And that brings us to our third main shape, the triangle. So if the square is stable and the circle is all about unity, the triangle is pure action and direction. Triangles just can't sit still. They are always pointing somewhere. They're basically arrows screaming, "Hey, look over here." They can feel super strong like a pyramid, or they can feel a little tense, suggesting conflict. Designers absolutely love them for showing progression, growth, or just plain old forward movement. Okay, so we've got our vocabulary, we have lines, and we have shapes. But just knowing the words isn't enough, right? You have to know how to put them together, to form a sentence. In design, that's all about arrangement, and one of the most important rules of arrangement is balance. Balance is all about how you distribute the visual weight on a page. The easiest way is symmetric balance, where everything is a perfect mirror image across a central line. It feels very formal, very orderly. But then there's asymmetric balance. And this is where things get really cool. You use different elements, but you arrange them so they have equal visual weight. A big, light-colored shape might be balanced by a tiny, dark one. It feels way more dynamic, more modern, and frankly, a lot more interesting. And just like that, you get it. You now know the basic grammar of visual communication. It's not a language of words. It's a language of lines that create feelings and shapes that have their own unique personalities. You now have the keys to start decoding the designs all around you. So let's just quickly recap that secret code. First, every single design is just lines and shapes. That's it. Second, just the direction of a line can make something feel calm or full of energy. Third, shapes have personalities. Remember, squares are stable, circles are protective, and triangles are active. And finally, how you arrange all that stuff is what creates balance and tells your eye exactly where to look. So I'll leave you with this thought. You've just been handed the keys to a secret code that's hidden in plain sight. So as you go about your day, I want you to really look. Look at the logo on your coffee cup. Look at the layout of your favorite website. Look at the posters you pass on the street. Now that you speak the language, what are you going to start to see?